All right, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's video, we are going to be following up on Borderlands 4, and pretty much everything we predicted to happen with Borderlands 4 is coming true. You know, when we talked about Borderlands 4, we said that this game was going to sell no matter what. The question was going to be whether this game was going to sell as good in terms of copies sold in a certain amount of time versus Borderlands 3, which had all the hype from the beloved game of Borderlands 2. Now, Borderlands 4 has finally reached our shores and has released, and the game is doing very well from a number standpoint. Right now, the game on Steam is at 207,479 all-time concurrent players on Steam, which is a fantastic number. There's no doubt about that. However, there's one thing that is glaringly wrong with this game, and that has to do with the reviews. There's over 6,000 reviews already for this game, and it's at almost a 50-50 ratio, 57.86% positive. The game, actually, when it launched, was at a mostly negative review, but then suddenly a bunch of positive reviews showed up out of nowhere, boosting the score. So this game having terrible reviews, everybody's wondering, well, what's wrong with the game? Well, to be honest, it has to do with performance, right? It is the number one top seller game right now out there, but that's not very hard to do considering it is a $70 game, brand new, and Steam's charts are all about revenue, not units sold. So if you go over to the reviews, things aren't looking good. Everybody's complaining about the performance, and this is exactly what we said was going to happen. You know, the Randy Pitchford, the CEO for Borderlands, he actually said to expect poor performance when it came to older systems. Now, when I looked at what he said, it made it seem like he was only talking about lower systems. But to be honest with you, from the reviews that we've been seeing from people, apparently without frame generation, this thing is struggling even on some of the best graphics cards out there. This person, Hannibal Lecter, says, none of my friends can even get the game past the start menu. When you quit and restart, it doesn't even close the original instance, and it still uses full memory. It doesn't matter how good the game is. AAA devs deserve low reviews on their games until they learn to release working titles. Indie devs release working games, but multi-million-dollar companies can't. It's pathetic, and I agree. It is 100% pathetic. And this is all that we saw happening. Like, we knew this was going to happen. Everybody knew this was going to happen. When we saw the reviews come in, when we saw Randy Pitchford trying to gaslight people about the game, the two things we said was this game is going to sell pretty decent, but it's also going to run like shit. It was pretty obvious at this point. Now, you have people saying that they're getting amazing FPS. You got this person, Titus, saying performance is fine for me. 120 to 140 FPS at 4K resolution with 9070 XT and a 9950 X3D. High settings, FSR quality, and frame gen on. Now, frame gen apparently helps this game a lot. Without frame gen, apparently the game struggles massively, just an FYI. Also, too, high settings is not ultra high settings, so you're not even playing at maximum settings. So you're doing the smart thing and lowering your settings to get better frame rate. That's what most people should do, but let's be real, not everybody does that. If you look at this one, this person says terrible optimization, another Unreal Engine 5 casualty, not worth buying in its current state unless you have a NASA PC. This person who received the product for free says Stutterlands 4 review, an unholy trio of pricing, Unreal Engine 5, and Denuvo. I've been a Borderlands fan for years. The chaos, the humor, the endless loot grind. It's always been about fun first, never too serious. But Borderlands 4, it feels like Gearbox got dazzled by Unreal Engine 5, slapped on a $70 price tag, and forgot the part where the game is supposed to actually run. Randy Pitchford said fans should have realistic expectations, but if realistic expectations means paying $70 for a stutter-ridden mess that crashes every few minutes and wrapped in Denuvo DRM, that tanks performance even further, then no thanks. That's not realism. That's laziness dressed up as ambition. The stutters are constant. The crashes are brutal. And it feels like the game fights you harder than the bosses do. Every firefight turns into a slideshow. Every new area feels like a gamble, whether the game will hold together or not. For a series built on fast, frantic chaos, it's painful when the biggest challenge is just keeping the game from breaking. On paper, Borderlands 4 looks gorgeous. Unreal Engine 5's lighting, reflections, and seamless role transitions give it a scale and detail the franchise never had before. But the moment you actually play, the shine fades. Stutters, frame drops, and bizarre loading hiccups pop up constantly. Even top-tier GPUs like the RTX 4080 and 5080 are struggling to keep 60 FPS in 4K with DLSS on. And if the cutting-edge hardware can't do it, what chance do the average players have? Gamers on Twitter couldn't even crack 60 FPS at 1080p with an RTX 3070, a card that's miles above the so-called minimum requirements. That's not just a hiccup. That's proof the system requirements are complete nonsense. And Gearbox basically shrugged, warning that if you don't meet their next-gen minimums, the game might be unplayable. Imagine being told that before you even buy it, it's not honesty, it's them admitting they knew it was broken. But they also knew that people would still pay anyway. Now, I agree with all of this, okay? We already knew that people were going to buy this game. We knew that this was going to be one of the bigger selling games of the year. I got to imagine, especially for AAA, which is not saying much, by the way. But anyway, it's fine. But overall, that doesn't mean that the game is right. All right, doesn't mean that the game is great. Doesn't mean anything. This game, if you need frame gen, and I've seen a lot of people need frame gen to run this game at the maximum settings at 60 FPS or anything close to it, you need frame gen in order to do it. You need fake frames basically to do it. That's pretty insane in my opinion. Right? Because with or without frame gen is a massive difference. We're talking 30 to 40 FPS difference. It's insane just how much of a difference it actually makes. So some people are going to say, well, as long as it runs. But I don't agree with that, right? This person gave it a positive review, but then said, yeah, where's Jack? Got it for Steam Deck OLED. So far, having a good time. The performance is subpar, yes, and no in the manner of speaking. It never crashes for the last couple of hours I played it. Messing with medium to low settings runs relatively decent. In open world, at least compared to Monster Hunter WoW's gunplay, is great, riding in more line with Borderlands 1 and 2. My main issue is the frame rate is just not stable when you're in a gunfight with more than 5 enemies. With particle effects all over the screen, textures and shaders could also use optimization patch 2 for it to be more aesthetically pleasing. But if it's playable, if you can handle 30 FPS and around that range, definitely wait for patches or optimization mods for a couple of weeks to months if you're really hung up on that. But the game itself is pretty solid. 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10, yeah, exclusively due to the performance. So the game is so broken that at this point, people are saying, well, you know, if it runs, it runs. I mean, like, why are we accepting such subpar? I don't understand. I really don't. And it's so sad that it continues to be a thing. It's people are gluttons for punishment. Gamers with certain titles don't just want to let the title die. They don't want to risk it. They rather buy it, support the title, and hope the developers listen. And I get where you're coming from. Totally, I do, especially if you love the franchise. I loved Borderlands. I didn't like 3. I didn't like Tiny Tina's. I loved 1 and 2 so much. It's right up my alley. I've always played looter-style games. You know, I've played Diablo. I'm playing Last Epoch right now. I have almost a level 70 Necromancer. Like, I play these kind of games. I love looter-style games. And looter shooters are no different. But unfortunately, what they've been doing with their franchise is anything but interesting to me. And at this point, when you look at the screenshots of the game, you're not really seeing much different. And that's the saddest part about all of this. If you click the screenshots, this looks like Borderlands 3. How the hell is Borderlands 3 running so much better than Borderlands 4? And Borderlands 4 looks almost identical. Sure, there's a couple of better reflections here and there, whatever, from Unreal Engine, but this looks exactly like what I've been experiencing in Borderlands for ages. You guys are degrading your system more and more and more, especially as you moved over to Unreal Engine 5. So, I mean, what are we doing? Is this another franchise that's going to be sacrificed to the altar of Unreal Engine 5? I suppose so. Now, here's the hilarious thing. So not only are the reviews bad, right? And there are some good reviews, FYI. Again, I want to be very clear. There are some good reviews there. Great addition to the series. One of the best Borderlands I played. This person says played for about 4 hours, is way better than 3. I'm playing on my laptop, updated the drivers, and playing on medium settings. No problem so far. So most of the people commenting can't even play on the highest settings possible. I can only imagine what somebody who plays on those settings are going to experience, but I guess we'll see. But if you want a hilarious situation, you need to look at the Steam forums, because the Steam forums is always a place for comedy. Always. You got all kinds of threads going on right now. You got this person saying to the people complaining, stop being a lying fascist. Game runs great for me. Trans rights are human rights. FT and FCK. Guys, I tried to click it, and clearly that means it got deleted. So that got banned. There goes that. But luckily, I had it saved on my screen before I just found out it got deleted. So there you go. Are most of the negative reviews performance issues? Yes, I would imagine so. The humor is mostly gone in Borderlands. So that's another thing that I've been hearing. Apparently, the humor has been lowered so much in Borderlands 4, and they said that they were going to go with a more serious tone for Borderlands. Now, I don't know of anybody that wants a serious tone Borderlands, but I mean, here we are, and apparently this person agrees. Most of the humor is gone. Borderlands 1 and 2 had loads of humor, crazy characters. This game just seems safe, like having Scooter replaced with some boring girl who isn't funny at all. Went from handsome Jack to average bad guy, trying to control people. I don't know. Outside Claptrap, it just doesn't feel the same. Gameplay is fun, though, I will admit. This person says 55 frames native, refunded. This person says he's playing at 1440p with a 3080 graphics card, 11,900 processor, 32 gigs of RAM. This is not a weak PC. This is not a weak PC at all. You mean to tell me 1440p, you're getting 55 frames? You're struggling right now? Game runs on medium settings, and I have to run the fake frame generation to hit 110 to 120. Running with just rendered frames on native gets me 40 FPS in the open world area on the game that looks like a cartoon. I'll reconsider the game at $10. Bro, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? How is there this much of a difference to go from 110 to 120 FPS with the fake frames versus 40 FPS natively? I mean, what the fuck? On this computer setup? How is this possible? For Borderlands? This is not like this is Crysis back in the day. This is Borderlands. Like, this is not something that should be hard to run. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, runs fine for me. All liars. Check the video. Undeniable proof that the game runs like hot garbage potato on the best hardware unless you turn on 4 times frame gen and DLSS. Unreal Engine was and is a massive mistake. For a native 1080p on 5090 and 9800 X3D, you get 80 FPS with DLAA for 4K native. You get drops into the 30s without the fake frame generation. On top of that, hitches nonstop. Please stop lying. No, your game does not run fine when there are hitches and micro stutters everywhere. Unless you put all that low medium on 1080p, then yes, maybe it gets 60 FPS on mid-end, but also looks like crap. So again, guys, it's unbelievable that there are going to be people out here lying about this game. And listen, is there people out there that the game is running fine for? Maybe. But everybody that I've seen saying the game runs fine is saying that they're running the game on medium or lower settings. So you're not really running the game. You're just lowering the settings of the computer so that in the hopes that your computer can run it. Now, if you're running a top tier rig and you're still struggling, there's no reason the game should be dipping into 30 FPS without frame gen. There's no reason whatsoever. You got to be absolutely fucking shitting me for a game like Borderlands 4. So you guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about the situation happening with Borderlands 4? If they are leaving bad reviews, does that make them fascists? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider hitting that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.